Hello, welcome to Face Corner. I've redone the intro of this video like 50 billion times, so let's hope that I'm satisfied this time, because this is supposed to be more of a vlog type video. There's a little less of a point. I'm literally just doing deep questions I found online to kind of get to know me, so let's just get right into that. Hopefully I don't have to record that again. So I found this little question set online. It says deep questions to ask friends. So you guys are my friends today. You always were, of course. So number one is, what's your all-time favorite memory? And I'm gonna have to choose when I was younger. This is actually my first memory. My great aunt came down to California to, just to see me and to hang out with my family, but we went to Chuck E. Cheese, and that's actually my first memory, is just going to Chuck E. Cheese with my great aunt. And I know that's a really simple, less exciting memory. I've done way more exciting stuff since then, I promise. Like, there's a window and a door in here. I can leave whenever I need to. But I don't know, that was just like the most pure, innocent memory I have. So it's definitely my favorite one. And what embarrasses you the most, and or what's been your most embarrassing moment? I've had a lot of embarrassing moments, quite a few. Some of you guys probably don't know about me, but it's super obvious that I have issues with social anxiety, but I used to have way worse social anxiety. It was really bad, so I got myself in a lot of awkward situations. The most embarrassing is probably when I was really young. Like, for the record, I was pretty young. That's important. And there was a show and tell at my school, and I thought it would be fun to bring just, to my class, group of just a couple classmates that I already knew pretty well, show them this clown costume that I had. And they had a fire drill. So I had to go outside because I got stuck in the clown costume, outside of the whole school, and stand there in a clown costume. And it wasn't Halloween, it wasn't anything special. So I got a lot of questions about that. That was probably the most embarrassing, actually. Yeah, I feel like that's hard to top. What do you use to cope when you're feeling uncomfortable? Oh, my phone, for sure, 100%. If I'm in a party or something and I don't know anybody, I will be that person in the corner who's just like texting away and looking really awkward and taking fake phone calls. That's me, honestly. What makes you feel super loved? My biggest love language for sure is quality time. So, like, people who will go, hey, I have some minutes here, do you want to hang out right now? And all these little last minute plans and stuff like that. That's awesome, of course, but people who set aside time to hang out like weeks in advance and like invite me to events and stuff way in advance, and we do all the planning together, that's pretty much it for me. Just knowing that people are thinking about me, that's what makes me feel loved. When do you feel at your most vulnerable? Probably when I have to have like an uncomfortable conversation with somebody, and I know I'm gonna cry because I'm a person who cries all the time, very easily, and that's probably not super obvious looking at me. But yeah, no, I am very sensitive. So anytime I have to have any uncomfortable conversations and have confrontation, that's when I feel my most vulnerable. What emotion do you experience the most? Does neutrality count? Because a lot of times I feel very in the moment, very calm, very laid back. I don't know if that's essentially an emotion, but neutral. But that's a lot better than feeling, sad or anything like that, so I'm not complaining. What's the nickname your friends have given you? What does it mean? Oh, throughout the years, it's always been Faithy. I think when you're born with the name Faith, there's really no other option. I don't know how to explain what that means. It just sounds funny. What's the best advice you've ever been given? To live your life for yourself and not to spend it trying to please other people or trying to impress other people, because 40, 50 years down the road, you don't want to look back and go, that person that I was doing all this for didn't give a shit, and I don't have that time back. So, lesson to you guys. Be a little bit selfish, just a little bit, because, like, if you can't be selfish about your own life, what can you be selfish about? How long does it take you to trust somebody? To trust someone really well, probably a couple of years, but I like to assume the best about people from the start. Like, if I see someone walking with a pole down the street, I'll probably cross the street, but besides that, I consider myself a pretty, like, relatively trusting person. What do you think of best friends of the opposite sex? Sorry, I'm gonna change the song. I feel like if it's loud, it won't sound very good on there. Okay. It said, what do you think of best friends of the opposite sex? I think that it depends on the person. It's quite workable for a lot of people. But when I was younger, you know, and I wasn't in a relationship and I tried to be friends with guys, usually it just kind of would get weird after a while. But I'm not saying that's necessarily happens for everyone. I think lots of people are great friends with people of the opposite sex. They don't have any issues. Like, think with the right head and you'll be fine. Alright. What's the one thing that people always misunderstand about you? People tend to think I don't like them because I'm very quiet, kind of. I'm not really a big fan. I know this is ironic considering I'm literally talking to a camera right now. I'm not really a big fan of speaking when I don't have much to say. So, like, small talk and stuff like that, I'm pretty bad at that. And I have kind of a resting, like, bitch face, too. So all those things combined, people generally think I'm kind of mean. So they get to know me and then realize it's like, no, this is just my face. I'm sorry. Do you think you're brave? No, not really. I get a lot of anxiety about things. Like, I live in California, but I won't drive places like San Francisco or anything like that because I'm too scared of the cars. So I think that right there would answer the question. No, I don't think I'm very brave. If you had to change your name, what new name would you pick? When I was younger, I was really jealous of the name Wendy. And I don't dislike my name, Faith. There's so many connotations for it. People make a lot of assumptions about you and your beliefs when they find out your name. Like, shocker, my name is Faith and I'm an atheist. Like, that's not normal. So people usually hear my name and start talking all spiritual and stuff with me, and it's kind of awkward. So I would have prefer a name with less religious connotations, but in the end, it's still pretty, and Faith Larson is kind of an ironic name for a horror author. But I don't know, I just always liked Wendy. I was really into the Peter Pan books when I was a kid. I think there's only one book, actually. Well, there's, like, spin-offs written by other people. Sorry. They're barking. What annoys you the most about people? I think what annoys me the most is when people don't talk to you about the issues they have with you and you have to find out later on from someone else. And usually it's like a misunderstanding type thing too, especially when you're like me, like I was talking about earlier. I have such a resting bitch face, so people will, like, make assumptions and then I don't even find out they think those things until later on, and that really annoys me. What scares you the most? Grab some water. I'll think about that. I have, like, an anxious person, but I wouldn't say I'm especially fearful. There is a difference. What scares me the most is probably seeing, like, the decline definitely happening in the world, and that there are people who refuse to acknowledge it. And I know they say that every single generation will say that, and every single year people will be like, oh, it's so much worse or it's so much better, and, like, there's always going to be so much debate. But just things in general, without getting political, seeing how much people let things change before acknowledging that there's a huge issue, like, theoretically in general, that probably scares me the most. That one day the world could be, like, 5 minutes from destruction. There'd be people who still would not acknowledge it. A good movie that kind of talks about this general fear of mine is, I think it's called Just Look Up on Netflix. I'm pretty sure it was just called that. Or it's the opposite, Don't Look Up. Either way, look up that film. I'm sure it'll come up if you type one of those in. That's a really good description of the feeling that I'm talking about. Where would you like to be in 5 years? So right now I am in college, and I'm about to start working 2 jobs because I'm going to be moving to a different place. Hopefully, fingers crossed. If you're watching this video in the future, the background's still the same. Didn't work out. But, I would like to be in a place where I don't have to work this much and go to school this much. So, graduated and employed. That's my best case scenario. Would you be with someone who doesn't have the same beliefs as you? It would depend what those beliefs were. Like, small differences is completely normal. Like, you can't agree on everything. Like, my boyfriend and I have slight disagreements on certain things, but fundamental issues need to be the same for me. Like, I couldn't date someone who was completely different, like religious or political beliefs, completely 100% different, because that would just be problems down in the future. Especially because I'm a really stubborn person, even though I hate confrontation, so that doesn't work out too well sometimes. But, so I would be vocal about what I believe, and that could probably scare someone off if they didn't think the same way. When have you felt the most challenged? For the record, I have been challenged at different points in my life. I'm just trying to think of one particular one. I don't think I've really reached a point where I can say it's the most challenged I've ever been. There was a lot of different times where I felt really overwhelmed, but always ended up working out. So honestly, I can't say yet if there was one specific time that stands out more than the others. I know someday I'll be able to just look back and go, oh yeah, 100% it was that day, but I haven't reached that day yet. Let's hope I don't. What's your idea of a perfect vacation? Oh, definitely 100% a cabin in the woods type situation. Not the horror movie one. Just legitimately, like, a nice furnished cabin with heating and a kitchen, and I have, like, the ingredients to cook and everything. Probably near a lake, too. Just, like, a full week, just in a cabin by a lake in the forest. That sounds awesome. What's the craziest thing you've ever done, and would you do it again? Honestly, I think the craziest thing I've ever done is sinking hundreds of hours into my first book, which I wrote when I was 18. I was working 2 jobs at the same time too, and like there were so many things that like I turned down plans with friends and all that stuff, because like, you know, I decided I really wanted to write my first novel before I turned 19. So I sunk all this time into it and managed to finish it before I turned 19, just because for me, I really love books. And even if I didn't get famous off of it, and even if I'd made like $5, it was just kind of about saying I did it. It was like a childhood dream of mine. So I managed to, after prioritizing pretty much all my free time into writing, managed to write my first book before I turned 19. And I know there's other people who've written like when they were 15, plenty of other people in the same situation as me, so I'm not bragging. But that was like the craziest leap I took, because it was a sacrifice. What makes you feel unstoppable? Probably when I'm running. I like running, but it kind of sucks until you get that runner's high. And once I'm running long enough or working out long enough and I hit that high, that like adrenaline, peaceful high, that's what makes me feel unstoppable. I feel like I could run for 5 more hours and then boom, 10 minutes later, I'm out of adrenaline juice and I'm dying. But that 10 minutes, that's the good shit. If you could do anything for the rest of your life, what would that be? I used to volunteer at an animal shelter, and they would literally just have me socialize the cats, which is a nice way of saying go in and play with them. So if I could just do that for eternity, just sit in a cubicle full of cats, it would be that, 100%. Are you more afraid of death or not living? I'm not really afraid of death. Like, for the record, I'm not saying, like, challenge me on that. But, yeah, no, I'm not really afraid of death. I think it's just a natural part of life. The end of life. And I think, if anything, I'd be more afraid of a painful death, but not death itself. So I'm not really afraid of either, to be honest. How would you rank the following in importance? Family, career, love life? Family, love life, career, because careers are important, 100%, but you can always get another job, but you won't necessarily be able to find a family like yours or that one special person. Those things are not interchangeable. Anything that you can find a new replacement of easily, like a career, should not be of high importance, because you can't buy family on a Craigslist or find them on Indeed, you know what I'm saying? But some people, I have a pretty good family life, honestly. A lot of people have it a lot worse than I do. I don't necessarily have a lot of contact with my relatives, but I think that's pretty common, especially when you live, like, I live pretty far away from most of my relatives, only, like, my immediate family, and I don't have any siblings either. So, for me, it's, like, family is very, very important, too, because of the fact that I have a smaller amount of it. So, I think a lot of people, when they grow up in really large families, they might, based on what I've seen, kind of take it for granted. So that is one advantage of being an only child. You kind of don't feel stifled. But yeah, so those are 25 deep questions about me. I hope that was kind of entertaining. I don't have a weird question, but would you guys ever be interested in, like, me streaming on Twitch or something? Because I used to do that a long time ago, and I don't know, it might be kind of fun, just do, like, casual, like, I know I was just, was it in this take that I was making fun of it? I was making fun of, people who just hang out on the Let's Talk section and just watch TV shows and stuff, but honestly, it's like, sometimes it's just fun to have something in the background when you're doing something else. Or I could play games, again, something like that. I used to be a Dead by Daylight streamer, but I didn't really stream with the webcam very often, so when you do that, it's like you kind of don't have many people watching you, unfortunately. But yeah, so just, let me know if you'd be interested in that. Hopefully you feel like you got to know me a little bit past just me talking about horror, because, unfortunately, we can't devote our lives entirely to one subject. I'm only partly joking about that being unfortunately. I can hyperfixate while you won't believe. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a great Christmas, and I will catch you all later. Let me know if you have any video ideas. Bye!